Do you agree that you don't have to be the highest paid player and be the face of a franchise? Will Fleming says, hey, on the Red Sox, he was kind of the face, whether he wanted to be or not. His fans bestowed that upon him. I do want to play this Will Fleming sound as we're talking about sports breakups. And why we're talking about this is Rafael Devers breaking up with the city of Boston, per se, as they trade him away. He did say something that kind of caught me, that he'll never be the face of a franchise, Rafael Devers. And he is the highest paid player on the team. And is that acceptable to be the highest paid player and not be the face of your franchise? Take a listen. Will Fleming talking about that.
That stuff is real. The stuff that's coming out about, his intransigence and his unwillingness to do some of those things. The only thing I can liken it to is like a broken marriage in a way, where you just hope that it just was poisoned and it was never going to get better in that way. Just the communication and the feelings were hurt on both sides. So I just think if he comes here when he's here now, I think that it has a chance to be a great new start for him. And I don't think he's ever going to be like the face of the franchise, of any franchise. He's never going to do a ton of media. He's never going to talk a lot, and that's fine. And by the way, the Red Sox acknowledged that too when they gave him $300+ million. They never asked him to do a lot of that stuff. They said, we just want you to hit. And hit he does.
He does.
So I don't understand, because there is a little, almost like he's contradicting himself. Hey, we don't expect you to do any of the media stuff. Hey, but why aren't you doing any of the media stuff? Right?
I guess when the likes of Mookie Betts finally leave and Xander Bogaerts finally leaves, and you're left with that contract and that player, and he is kind of like the last remnant of a World Series title, I do think that leads to expectations. Like, whether that's fair or not, like, at one point, Brandon Crawford was looked at as one of the leaders on this team. Was he the best player? No, but the fact that he was like that kind of last remnant of a World Series team, there were certain expectations when it came to availability. Now, it's different. He's a Bay Area guy. He's built into it. Like, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but I'm just trying to, throw it out there. Like, the fact that he was like the last remaining remnant of a World Series team, I think meant something to the fans. They wanted to hear from him, especially as they're making all that money. But when I hear him say, he's not expected to be the face of a franchise, and, don't worry, you got Matt Chapman, you got Willie Adames there. I was like, sure. But also, I would like to hear from that guy occasionally, right? And if it just felt like at some point he just cut all ties of communication. And that, I don't think is going to happen first and foremost early on here. But, let's say we're a year into this, Joe, or two, and then you don't, hear from this guy at all.
Is he balling?
No. How about that?
Well, if he's not balling, maybe you don't want to hear from him. I don't know.
You wanted to hear from Debo last year when he was not balling.
Well, he was also podcasting and talking, and
yeah.
All right. So you can't have it both ways. That's that kind of my thing, and that's why I get frustrated. And I'm going to go cross-sport analogy here. That's why I get so frustrated with Rory McIlroy. Right? Rory McIlroy wants to show up on the Carson Daly show and do this podcast and that podcast, but then media availability after a tournament, no, I've earned the right to not have to do any of that. Well, wait a minute, dude. You can't have it both ways. This guy clearly doesn't want it both ways. He just, hey, I want to play baseball.
Do you agree that you don't have to be the highest paid player and be the face of a franchise? Will Fleming says, hey, on the Red Sox, he was kind of the face, whether he wanted to be or not. Fans bestowed that upon him.
Is Purdy, right now, and he will talk to the media.
He will.
I don't consider Purdy the face of the 49ers.
No, I don't either. I actually think it's Kyle Shanahan, quite frankly.
Okay, but Shanahan, Kittle, Bosa, Warner, it's not Purdy yet.
It's not Purdy.
Maybe one day it will be.
Was Jimmy ever the face?
I think for a small period, yeah.
I think he was a pretty face. He was a nice guy to look at. I think people
Jimmy Mania was pretty real.
Mania for a second, and then he got hurt.
They also didn't have Fred at this level where he's at now, and Kittle's level of fame is way bigger than it was back then. Bosa wasn't even on the team by then.
Right.
I just think the dynamic of the roster was totally different.
Who is the face currently of the San Francisco Giants, you would say, right now? As of today.
I mean, is it a joke? I'm not even joking, but is it like a jarring if I still say Krug and Kipe?
Wow. The broadcast duo.
I mean, they're so iconic.
It's kind of.
I think that's more a reflection on them than the Giants.
Yeah, that speaks to
like Vin Scully. Like Vin Scully was the face for so long.
Yeah, But he was like a face of baseball, right? Almost in a sense where it was just so he cast such a large shadow.
Okay, that's probably not the right answer. Maybe it's Posey, I guess. I don't know.
No, but like let's just stick to the players then. Like if you had to pick a player on this team that was the face, because like Willie Adam, I don't think Willie is that guy.
Logan Webb,
right? I'm forcing you to pick a player, and like you still don't want to is my answer here. So whether we like it or not,
I think it's Chapman Adames.
Okay,
still,
all right, Chapman still, and it sucks because Chapman's not.
I don't think
there,
either
right?
one of them is the singular face. I think it's Chapman or Adames. So this like face of the franchise thing, I think it makes great fodder to talk about. I don't think this is how teams like not all of them. I don't think this is how teams construct themselves right now. Reigning Super Bowl champs. It's the face of the Eagles right now.
Ooh, good question. Saquon
over Howie Roseman.
I think, but Saquon's on the cover of Madden.
Oh, okay, I'm asking.
And
over
he's a podcast, I think, right too.
Over his coach.
Over Sirianni, yeah. I think Saquon's a god in Philadelphia right now.
No doubt. I'm talking.
I think it's him or Jalen, to be quite frankly.
Talking nationally.
Nationally, dude, I still think it's Saquon Barkley. Dude's getting drafted number 1 overall in fantasy leagues.
I don't know.
His stock right now is sky high.
I think when I think of the Eagles, I think of Howie first. Maybe you and I just look at it different.
I think so. We have Anthony in San Rafael that wants to join this face of the franchise conversation. He has a potential face of the franchise for the Giants. Anthony, good morning.
Yeah,
you're almost Bedoni and Shasky.
Hey, good morning, guys. So I think Logan Webb needs a little bit more respect. He has a good shot at Cy Young this year, and I think he's absolutely the face of the franchise. Just look at what he did to the Dodgers last time he started.
Yeah, but you think it's as simple as that? Just your starts against it? Because I kind of agree with Joe that I liken Logan a little bit personality-wise, more with like a Matt Cain. His style of pitching, it's not as sexy as, let's say, a Tim Lincecum.
Kind of like Brock Purdy.
Yeah, a little bit. But that's fine.
Almost understated.
What is your criteria for a face? I'll ask Anthony.
Well, I think it's the best player on the team, and I think Logan Webb's the best player on the team.
Okay, hey, fair enough. That's a great answer. You know what? I don't think it always has to be the best player on the team to be the face, as we're talking about right now. It could be a franchise, executive. Quite frankly, hell, it could be an owner. Jerry Jones is the face of the Dallas Cowboys.
100%.
It could be an owner.
Or it could be Dak, and Dak's not their best player.
No, exactly. It could just be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Like, was Troy Aikman ever their best player on the Cowboys? No. He was he was like the face though. Like it's synonymous with them, or is Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin? They had so many players.
I know.
They were stacked.
Well, and Jimmy Johnson was the face,
right?
Jimmy Johnson was the face that I associate with the early '90s.
There you go. So
more than Jerry, even.
Anthony's saying Logan Webb is the best player. Sam Lemon, you got something?
Yeah, no. Just we're talking about the factors that determine what a face of the franchise is. Do you put more weight in a guy being a homegrown player becoming a face of the franchise, or do you believe that it can be a free agent coming in and assuming that title?
It matters. I go immediately, as you say that, to Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry. That's exactly what I think.
Was Steph still the face at that time, or was it KD?
No, it was Steph, but KD was their best player.
Well, yeah, but Steph was the face, and he was homegrown, though. So that's the thing. Do you want to be a homegrown player? So I think that's kind of why, with Anthony's point with Logan Webb, like Logan Webb is the homegrown guy of the core right now. So do Giants fans kind of gravitate more towards Logan Webb as the face? Because recall, the Giants' entire history, the face of the franchise has always been a homegrown player, other than Barry Bonds, who grew up in the Giants clubhouse, which is a different kind of homegrown. So I just don't know if the homegrown aspect, does that matter in a face of the franchise? Or, because like with the Dodgers, I think we could say their face is probably Shohei Ohtani, who was not a homegrown player.
Steve Young was not a guy drafted to the team.
No. And he was their face of the franchise for many years. Even though Jerry was the best player on the team.
Right. So
it's crazy to think about.
It's a great question. No, it's a great question.
Steve Young was huge.
But to Sam's point, we do view it differently when you are getting traded over here and you weren't drafted here. I think the Bay Area in particular, we are very, very leery of letting go of our guys that we draft. We're talking about all this, and it's coming to a head between the Red Sox and the Giants. I did not anticipate, but here we are. In a span of a week. Like, it's kind of crazy how all this has came out. A week ago, we were talking about this team coming off a high, trying to go for a sweep against the Rockies, right? Going into a massive series against the Dodgers. In a week later, you got Rafael Devers. And now we're looking at this series like, no, you got to be. Going into the series now, I'm looking at the Red Sox like I look at the Dodgers. You want to kick their ass for Rafi, right? If you're a fan.
I think they're going to throw at him.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's not a doubt in my mind. Do you listen to the Will Fleming is the broadcaster. I mean, it's as if Rafi did this to him.
Want to talk here? Will Fleming here.
Come on.
Rafi Devers just taking ground balls at first.
It was an enormous middle finger to everybody with the Red Sox. It was. There's no other way to see that. And again, this notion of I'll do whatever they want, but they didn't ask me nicely enough in Boston. That to me is absolutely outrageous.